Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we talk about the ongoing investigation into the Coromandel Express crash and what we know about it so far. We also talk about the Gujarat state government failing to deliver on one of its promises to college students. But first, we talk about the Khalistan movement. On Sunday, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, one of the most wanted terrorists in India and the head of the separatist organization Khalistan Tiger Force, was killed in Canada. Nijjar was 46 years old and was shot dead by two unidentified men in the city of Surrey in British Columbia. Now, Nijjar is actually the third wanted separatist to die in little over a month. Earlier, Khalistan Commando Force Chief Paramjit Singh Panjwar was killed in Pakistan, and Avtar Singh Khanda, who had attempted to vandalize the Indian High Commission in London, died in a UK hospital. In this segment, Manraj Grewal Sharma, the resident editor of the Indian Express at Chandigarh, joins us to talk about Nijjar's death and the Khalistan movement abroad. So Manraj, begin by talking about the reason why Nijjar was considered one of the most wanted terrorists in India.
So Nijjar was the chief of Khalistan Tiger Force. So Khalistan Tiger Force is an offshoot of the banned terrorist organization called Babbar Khalsa International. And the MHA had declared this terrorist organization. MHA has also banned KTF, Khalistan Tiger Force. So the main reason was they were spreading hatred against India, and NIA in its charges, in its comments about the organization had said how it uses social media to influence people against India and to create disharmony amongst different communities through hate speeches. So they had said that we have gathered substantive evidence to prove that he's encouraging seditionary activities on the Indian soil. So even though he was in Canada, he was spreading a lot of hatred against India. And he was also closely associated with Sikhs for Justice. Now, Sikhs for Justice is led by a US citizen called Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. So Gurpatwant Singh Pannu has been waging a campaign or a war of sorts on social media for a separate state of Khalistan. And what he does is he holds referendums everywhere saying that we will then go to the United Nations and then we will get this state, which is completely bizarre. But he did it in Brampton, and we are told, it's Canadian publications, newspapers, etc. have documented that Nijjar was very much part of that referendum that took place in Brampton, and he drummed up support for it. So more recently, this year, he went to Australia, where they had a referendum.
Right, and in July last year, the NIA had announced a cash reward of 10 lakh rupees for any information that could lead to his arrest. And we understand that his name was also on a wanted list, which was given by the former Punjab Chief Minister, Captain Amrinder Singh, to the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, back in 2018, right?
That is right. It wasn't a long list, and he was very much part of it. So, he was this, unlike other people who were physically associated with some form of violence or whatever, who had perpetrated. This person was more of an ideologue, more of a mastermind, who was sitting there in Canada, but masterminding a lot of activities. So, which is why Captain Amarinder Singh, the former Congress Chief Minister, was also very concerned about him. And the Punjab police, they had made him an accused in cases of targeted killings in Punjab between 2016 and 17. You see, RSS leader called Brigadier Jagdesh Gagneja, and there was a Ludhiana pastor called Sultan Masih. They were shot dead. So by some people would come on a motorbike, pump bullets into these people and just leave without any trace. So these were all traced back to him, or he was definitely an accused in these cases.
Also, Nijjar moved from Punjab to Canada in 1997. He worked there as a plumber. He then got married and had 2 kids. And he had also been the president of the Surrey Gurdwara body since 2020. What do we know about his other activities there in Canada?
Yeah, it seems it wasn't that he rose to fame all of a sudden. So in Canada, there is a term called weekend Khalistanis. So not all the Gurdwaras are home to them, but there are certain Gurdwaras like the one which he was presiding over and in whose parking lot he was shot dead. So they would encourage a lot of conversation around this subject. And then, of course, the agencies believed that he was in touch with Pakistan and other agencies inimical to India. So he gradually rose up the ladder. So he got into these Gurdwara politics, and we are told that he took over as president by some form of force. That is what the rival party says. That is how he became the president of this Gurdwara. So that kind of gave him a lot of credibility as well as resources. And he used to always say that I am a humble plumber and that is how I earn my living. But he made no bones about the fact that he was an advocate of Khalistan, and he kind of took pride in it.
Right, and Manraj, the last time we were talking about this issue on the podcast, you had mentioned that the Khalistan issue, this demand for a separate Sikh state, does not really find much resonance here in Punjab, but there are supporters for it abroad. And there seems to be a feeling amongst them that the Sikh community has been persecuted, and that there is this golden period of Punjab that they need to go back to. They talk about that a lot, right?
That's right. In fact, the BC Premier Ujjal Dosanjh, the first Indian to become the Attorney General in Canada and the first Indian to become the Premier, last month I think he was here in India. He was here in Chandigarh, and I was speaking to him about this issue. And he said something very interesting, because he said, you want to feel relevant. You do not gel well where you go. So you live in a kind of time warp. So he was very blunt about it. So Khalistanis are people who want to feel relevant. They feel that here is this very mythical land and they are fighting for a cause. And if they get it, they will be happy. And because right now there is no sense of belonging. So even though they could be doing financially reasonably well, but somehow they have not been able to fully integrate into the new society. So this whole feeling, this whole need to belong, Dosanjh told me that it is just a quest to be relevant, and you remove this from them and they are not relevant any longer.
And Manraj, we earlier mentioned that Nijjar actually died after being shot by two unidentified men. And recently, two other separatist leaders also died within a span of about a month. Do we know anything more about their deaths?
See, that is for the investigative agencies to find out whether there's any connection or not. But the fact that they took place in such quick succession and they involved the same, in the sense the crux is the support for Khalistan, it kind of lends people to believe that there could be a connection. So he had told some radio channel, and he had even been telling his congregation that I am on the hit list and I am a wanted man and I could be dead any time. So in fact, today Vancouver Sun has reported Gurpatwant Pannu, the SFJ founder, the Sikhs for Justice founder, Gurpatwant Pannu, he told them that Nijjar called him up to say that he had been warned and that he was under threat. But so now the Canadian police are saying that they will find out more from their agency and figure out that what was the threat that Nijjar was talking about. So they are saying they will work in association with Canadian Security Intelligence Service.
And what about the deaths of the other two leaders?
So last week, Avatar Singh Khanda, who led an attempt to vandalize the Indian High Commission in London in March, a day after Punjab police launched a thing against Waris Punjab Day leader Amritpal Singh, he died in a Birmingham hospital. And of course, the cause of his death is not clear because they said he had cancer, and then some say that he was poisoned. He suffered food poisoning. But there's a coincidence. And then, of course, there is this Panjwar, Khalistan Commando Force chief called Paramjeet Singh Panjwar. He died and he was shot dead in Pakistan on May 6th. So he was out on a morning walk with his guard when these people came and pumped bullets into him. This unidentified gunman, that's how it was described. And then before that, in January 2020, Hardeep Singh Happy PhD. He was also shot dead near Lahore. So all these people are there on the list of India's most wanted.
And next we talk about the Coromandel Express crash. More than 2 weeks ago, India had witnessed one of its worst train tragedies when the Coromandel Express derailed in Odisha after hitting a stationary goods train and then colliding with a passenger train on the adjacent track. The accident had killed 292 people and injured over 900 others. Now, a few days after the incident, the government had launched a CBI probe into the matter, which is still going on. In this segment, we speak to Indian Express's Sujit Bisoyi about the probe and what we have found out since the tragedy took place. Sujit, could you begin by recalling for our listeners the way this crash had taken place?
Well, as we discussed earlier, the crash happened on 2nd of June at around 7 p.m. when the Chennai-bound Coromandel Express that was passing through the Bhargava station bazaar at a speed of around 128 km per hour. That rammed into a stationary goods train that was parked on the loop line. And the coaches of Coromandel Express scattered all over the tracks, and it collided with two coaches of Yashwantpur Express that was coming from an opposite direction towards Howrah.
Right, and after the crash, the Railway Ministry had indicated that perhaps someone had tampered with the signalling system, which might be the reason why the Coromandel Express rammed into the stationary goods train on the loop line. And after that, the investigation was also handed over to the CBI. Could you tell us how the investigation has been going and what we have found out since then?
The Railway Board has recommended a CBI probe into the matter apart from a normal probe as happened in railways by the Commission of Railway Safety. So both the probe are going on. So basically the probe is focusing whether there is a human interference to tamper the signaling system which could have triggered this accident. But so far neither CBI nor the Commission of Railway Safety has said anything in public about progress in the probe. The probe is well continuing. The CBI has sealed the signal room, signaling system, panel room, and seized the records, phones of some employees, and they have interrogated almost all the employees of Bhargava Bazaar station and employees of nearby stations. But so far there is neither the CBI nor the Commission of Railway Safety has come out in public with findings of the probe so far.
And Sujit, one criticism of the CBI also investigating this matter has been that the officials are now looking for just one person to put the blame on rather than holding the larger railway system accountable. Could you speak to that a bit?
Well, CBI has not said anything whether its probe is based on only one people or the probe is expanded to others. But there is a sense of impression that the probe is basically concentrated on one single person, one low-rank official. But some of the officials to whom we spoke just to get basic sense about the progress of the probe, they said they are looking into all the angles, not just focusing on one angle, although it came to light because of certain things. But when reporters asked Vaishnav about progress of the probe, he said it's an independent probe and they are doing it independently.
Right, and now since one of the hunches that someone tampered with the signaling system, the CBI in that regard on Tuesday searched the house of the junior engineer Amir Khan, who works with the signaling wing in the area where the train crash happened. And the CBI had earlier sealed his rented house as well. Can you tell us what we have come to know about this search?
See, after the Central Bureau of Investigation started its probe on 6th of June, 4 days after the crash, they interrogated almost all the staffs, Bhargava Bazaar and nearby stations were responsible for train operations on that route. And according to railway officials, the CBI probe team have been interrogating the staffs for multiple times, as and when they are summoned by the agency, they pose before it. So accordingly, the CBI on Monday, they sealed a house of one JE, who is posted at the Soro section with the signaling wing. Signaling wing basically is responsible for maintenance, installation, and just to oversee whether all the equipment are properly worked. So they sealed house of one junior engineer called Amir Khan. Then on Tuesday, they searched the house in presence of the JE. Then they have taken the JE to some undisclosed location for further probe.
Right, and with this junior engineer Amir Khan being under the scanner, the conversation around this issue has also taken a communal turn, at least online. Could you talk about what we have seen in that regard so far?
Well, Shashank, that effort by certain sections, that communal angle on social media started day after the accident only. So Odisha police has to intervene and issue a warning that they'll take legal action against people who are giving communal angle to this incident. And that again resurfaced on Monday when media reports came that CBI sealed the house of this JE, who belongs to a minority community, basically. So certain people, they started campaign on social media that this JE is absconding. I mean, they basically gave a verdict on Twitter that this person is responsible for the entire incident. So Southeastern Railway has to issue a clarification that none of their staffs are either absconding or missing. Almost all the staffs at Bhargava Bazaar are part of the probe, and they cooperate with the agency as and when they called them for interrogation.
Also, Sujit, besides this, right after the accident had taken place, because there were so many casualties, officials were trying to help families identify their loved ones who had passed away. The bodies were even kept in a school nearby. So now, after 2 weeks, have all the bodies been identified?
Till date, as many as 81 bodies are yet to be identified. They are preserved in 5 special containers within the AIIMS premises. Their family members, some of them who had come here to claim bodies of their loved ones, they have been asked to give blood samples for DNA matching with the DNAs of the dead bodies, and they have been asked to go because DNA matching will take times. They have sent the samples to Delhi CFSL for further examination. So till now, 288 people died on that day, and 4 more died during a treatment in SCB Medical College in Cuttack. So as many as 81 bodies are still waiting for last rites.
And in the end, we talk about the Namo tablets. Back in 2017, the Gujarat government had introduced a scheme which would provide tablets to college students at a considerably low price. This scheme was launched under the New Avenues of Modern Education Tablet Yojana, which is also called the Namo Tablet Yojana. But this scheme eventually ran into a lot of problems, and the state government in the end could not deliver on its promises. And so they have now decided that the students will be provided with laptops instead of tablets. To know more about this issue, my colleague Utsa Sarmin speaks to Indian Express's Ritu Sharma.
So Ritu, can you first tell us what was the initial idea behind launching this scheme?
Yeah, so this Namo e-tablet scheme, which was launched in the academic session of 17-18. It was launched with much fanfare by the then Chief Minister, which was Vijay Rupani. And at the time of the launch, he had even equated these tablets to be like, these would be like Lord Krishna, Sudarshan Chakra, how these will benefit the students and bring knowledge at their fingertips. And even stated that the BJP government does not view the youth as the vote bank, but new age power. But I would like to add to it that this was launched rather aimed at the 2017 Gujarat Assembly elections, which were due same year in the month of December. And this scheme was also seen as one of the schemes to appease the young college-going voters.
Right, and how were the students supposed to avail the scheme?
So the students could avail the scheme through an online process. At the beginning of the academic session, they had to fill a form which was entirely online and all, and they have to pay a token amount of 1,000, through which they could avail these tablets, and which were claimed to be the market price of around 7,000 and 8,000, which later was increased with higher specifications, and also they were saying that the market value is even more than 7,000 and 8,000 rupees. But the students would still get at a token amount of rupees 1,000. And around 17-18, when it was launched, so tablets were a new thing and students were using it. So there was a kind of craze among college-going students for the tablets and all. Then post that, around 2021, so these were during the COVID period. So the government stressed more on that, how these could be used during this period when most of the classes were online, schools and colleges were shut down. So the students could use it more during that period.
Yeah, but as you have written, students in the end did not get the tablets during the COVID period. Can you tell us why that happened?
Yeah, so the state government implemented the Make in India clause. Now, then the previous tender that was awarded to a company, Namo, which was supplying these Chinese tablets, had to be cancelled under this clause, Make in India clause. And the tenders were reissued, I would say again 3 or 4 times, but failed to generate a good response. Then the following year in 2021, the distribution was further delayed because of this same Make in India clause, or which was also called as anti-China clause. Now, in the month of August, the same year 2021, the tender was finally awarded to an Indian make to provide the Slava International tablets. So, in November 2021, this Indian make company or the agency which was shortlisted, it had provided a first lot of around 50,000 tablets. It had failed the quality standard testings, and the state government could not go ahead with the distribution of around 75,000 tablets, which they had promised that they would do the same year, 2021. And this among the technical specifications which the agency failed were like speed, the memory, battery backup, screen and component checks and all. So the backlog kept on piling since then. I would say 18, 19, there were students who did not get the tablets.
Right, and you mentioned that students had to pay 1,000 rupees for the tablets at the start of their academic session. So the students of the 2018 batch who did not receive the tablet, they also had to pay the $1,000, right?
Yeah. They had paid the amount at the beginning of the academic session only. Like we had even spoken to some of these students, like the students from the earliest backlog, that is 18, 19. And these students were in their final year of engineering, that is the fourth year of B. So they were saying that we had paid 1,000 rupees since like 4 years back. At the time of their admission only first year, that was in August 2018, but still they are waiting for the tablets and all. So most of the students, they had requested to refund the money. So they did not want the tablets anymore because they were saying that since we are on the verge of completing our courses, engineering, polytechnic courses, we do not want these tablets because they would be of no use to us since once we complete our education and get into jobs or other fields and all. So they had requested to refund the money. They were not asking for tablets anymore.
Right, and now after receiving a lot of criticism, the government has decided to give the students laptops instead of the earlier promised tablets. What has been the reasoning behind this?
So other than the controversies and the failure to provide these tablets despite trying everything and delaying the process, tendering process, giving multiple chances to the vendor to provide the stock, the justification which is being given for the laptops is that the laptops are more useful for college students than the tablets now, which are primarily used for videos and online classes. So the government is proposing how laptops will help the students more than the tablets. As in, they can make the presentations, they can do the college work, the assignments and everything.
Right, and Ritu, one imagines that these laptops might cost more than the tablets which were being proposed. So does that raise any concerns?
So I think the amount is not an issue, and I had asked about this laptop price, and also there was like the officials were saying that it could come around 20-25,000, and if they take it in bulk, probably that price could be reduced. So now looking at the 2024 elections, so they want to come up, this is my view, that they want to come up with something more appealing for the students and how to cover up the tablet controversies and how to let students, this controversy die up. So the students can get more useful thing and laptops and all. So probably the government might think of increasing the token amount from 1,000.
You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava, with help from Utsa, Sarmin, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.